voiceover actors that are like me. It's like, what? This is uncomfortable.
Well, I guess kicking off with the obvious question, can you talk to us about how your experience at Comic-Con has been today? How have people been treating you? What's your day been like?
It's been wonderful. It's, I mean, everybody is treating us beautifully. We've been, I mean, all the fans have been great to talk to. Not a bad thing to say about it at all, really. It's been amazing. And it's nice to meet people face to face. You know, we don't, I think with voiceover, we're anonymous. So we can walk down the street and nobody knows who we are. And when we come to conventions, we get to meet people and talk to them, and it's really nice. So it's been great.
Why do you think South Park means so much to so many people, and what does it mean to you at this stage?
I think because it's, I mean, we can, if something happens in the world, we can deal with it that week. And I think that's one of the things that people love about it is we can actually be in the middle of production on an episode, and if something really crazy happens, they can actually write about it halfway through the production and change it, which is unheard of. And I love it. I love everything about it. I find that at the end of every episode, whatever message they have, I always agree with. And it's so much fun to do. It's just, it's amazing. It's still, people will come up to me and say, you know, do you realize you're on South Park, like this iconic thing that's going to go down in history? And it doesn't register with me. It's still something that when they say that, it's like, okay, yeah, I guess I am, but I don't realize it.
I mean, it's a show that's always very deliberately pushed buttons and, like you say, tackled really immediate stuff.
Yeah.
Are there particular episodes, particular themes, particular subjects that you're quite proud that you've got a chance, you know, certain episodes, things that maybe raised eyebrows, but you were happy they did?
Yeah, and there's still an episode. We were really nervous to do an episode, and there's still one I think I'm a little tiny nervous to still talk about. It was the Scientology episode, and it was, if you look at the credits on that one, we're all Jane and John Smith. They changed it, but I loved that we did it. I love that we did it. And then the breast cancer episode with Wendy is probably my favorite, not just because I got to kick Art Cartman's ass, but I just thought it was a really wonderful show. And then the other one that people don't talk about as much was the I don't remember the name of the episode, but it was when all the girls were photoshopping their pictures. So they were doing selfies and photoshopping it. And Wendy was really standing up for not doing that. And then at the very end, you see her get on the computer and start photoshopping her picture, and it just crushes you. It crushed me, and it was very poignant, and I just loved the way they did that.
I think one of the strengths of the show is the fact that although it tackles all of these issues, it doesn't always lean in one direction or the other. So there's some episodes where the show takes a view which is, you know, a little bit more, kind of liberal and very much fighting for those kind of side of the argument. And then there's other episodes where it kind of goes in different directions. Sure. and yeah.
Yeah. I think because honestly, sometimes the liberal point of view isn't always the best, you know, and of course they're not going to be, you know, all the way over to the conservative, but I don't think they're afraid of calling out people who normally people would say, well, they're liberal, of course they're right. And I don't think they're afraid of going, you know what, wait a minute, this is kind of ridiculous. And I like that too.
I mean, the Safe Space episode is a really good example. And that song, I think, really summed up, I think, a lot of people's feelings about that issue.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, it's and sometimes they'll do it and I'll think, I don't know if I agree with that, or, but it keeps it real. It's you know that if you're watching South Park, you're not just watching a liberal show. You're watching a show that's really going to look at an issue and decide how they want to deal with it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about you mentioned the fact that you do the shows the same week, so the turnaround on that, particularly for an animated series, must be insanely fast.
It's crazy. Yeah, we do one episode a week. So we come in, so it airs on Wednesday. Everybody gets Thursday off. They come back Friday and start working on the episode for the following Wednesday. No, I'm sorry. It airs Wednesday, so everybody gets Wednesday off. Thursday, they're back in, and they start working on the next episode. And usually, my call time on Tuesday nights is about 11 o'clock at night. And sometimes I'm there all night long. Sometimes I'm there for an hour. When the election happened, we all didn't think he was going to win, and I remember we all had to stop and watch and wait because it wasn't written for that. Yeah. So, Tuesday night at midnight, we're all looking at each other going, well, we're going to be here all night long because Trey has to write something different because she didn't win. So that's how they do it, and they do it. The only time they've ever missed a deadline was because of there was a pole, electric pole that caught fire, and we didn't have any power, so it wasn't even us screwing up. It was something we couldn't do, but they always do it. So.
I mean, you're responsible for so many different voices on the show. I'm curious, when fans meet you, do they have favourites, and have you got favourite voices, particularly among some of the smaller characters you maybe only got to do for a little while?
Yeah, what's interesting, Shelley is she's like one of the largest characters I do, so that gets, people don't necessarily ask for her, but when they hear me do it, it gets a really good reaction. And then Wendy is the one people want to hear the most, and they pitch me up a bit for Wendy, so it's a little more difficult to do a voice for somebody, but Wendy's more about the cadence of her and the rhythm of her, so even if my voice is a little lower when I do it, it still sounds like her because it's her rhythm. So those are the two that I think I get asked to do most often, yeah.
And are there specific lines that go with those voices that people want to hear?
Gosh, that's so hard. It's so funny because there are some voice actors that just, they say, oh, can you do this character? And right there, you got it. And I'm usually going, oh, okay, what am I going to say? With Miss Cartman, it's, hello, dear, would you like some cheesy poops? And Shelley always calls people turds, so, and, Wendy, I don't know where this is airing, but, Wendy's just always like, God damn it, Stan, stop that. So those are kind of just the little tiny things that I do with the voices. And those are actually things that I do when we're in production to kind of hook me into the voice. So, yeah.
And of course, I mean, you have that rare privilege of getting a chance to play so many iconic and familiar figures. Yeah. I'm curious, in terms of the celebrity voices, they're obviously quite loose versions. Yeah. Are there any that you particularly enjoyed doing? Did you enjoy being Taylor Swift? Or
again, at the risk of getting myself in trouble, I really loved being Nicole Kidman, telling Tom to come out of the closet. So that was a fun one, and there are so many that sometimes it's like, oh, I forgot I did that, but that's the one that kind of stands out, I think, most. Was that episode and doing her voice, and yeah.
I mean, where did the inspiration come from that version of Nicole?
And that's the other thing is it's not like they send me the script at home and say, well, here's the script, and read it for a day, and I walk in and they hand it to me. And it's like, you need to do an Australian accent right now, and you're Nicole Kidman. And so the inspiration was just getting through it. It was literally like me going into a corner and going, okay, Australian. And then, I'd look up a YouTube, and it's like, okay, I think I've got it. So it wasn't anything that I really worked on because I didn't have an opportunity to work on. Everything is so, you're just by the seat of your pants with them. So yeah, that was my inspiration, was just doing it.
I mean, is there anyone who you're hoping to one day do, or anyone who would be your worst nightmare on the other side of that, who you're really hoping they never hand you? Because you're dealing with...
Right. You know what? I've never thought of that, to be honest with you. I mean, there are celebrities that, I kind of hope they never spoof, just in the sense that if I ever met them, I wouldn't want them saying, like, I don't want to talk to you. But when I took the job, I knew that nobody was safe. Everyone is in danger of getting it. So I knew that when I came in. But no, there's nobody I can think of that, that I'm wishing that they would write into a script yet.
Just stepping aside from South Park,
Yeah.
something you've also appeared in is Destiny, playing as Petra Venge
Yeah.
during the House of Wolves campaign. When you were portraying her, what was kind of your input into that? I assume because the first expansion was a bit monotone, and then when you come in, it's like a breath of fresh air with the charisma and everything.
Oh, wow, thank you. That was actually, that was one of those characters that we actually worked on together to find her voice. Like, sometimes you come in and they say, this is the dialect, and we want you to do exactly what you did in the audition, and that's it. But with Petra, there was still, I think the writers were still like kind of trying to decide, do we want to put her more here or more there? And so there were a few sessions where they went much slower. The sessions went much slower than normal, but it was because we were trying maybe 5 different reads of a line to see, do we like her a little rougher? Do we like her softer? Do we like the dialect as British? Do we want to pull back on it? So that was one of those situations where it was a group effort. We were all working together, the writers and the director, and eventually we found who she was. And so that was really nice, because normally you don't have an opportunity to be a part of that process as much. So yeah.
Is there anything you kind of wish Bungie did with Petra more?
No. No, I like what they've done with her. And, when you do video games, you're signing NDAs all the time. Yeah. So I think I'm going to stop talking about it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in Destiny 2, we haven't heard a single word from Petra, so let's assume that she's never coming back in. But how would you want her to come back in after all, as a universe, the Traveler's Light's just been reignited and... Right.
I in the last one, I remember her, she was it was all about the Queen. It was all about, and I would like it to be something where you can see more of who she is underneath that character. You know what I mean? Like, she's so loyal to the Queen, and this is what we're doing. And with characters like that, I always want to kind of see what's underneath, like what's going on, under here. So that, I think, if that was the case, that's what I would want to see. Yeah.
Is there any other role in video games, or even any other medium, that you wish you partook in it, for instance?
No, you know what? I don't play video games. I probably shouldn't admit that, but I don't. I have very severe ADD, and that is a dangerous combination of, ADD and video games don't go well together. So I know to not do that. But so what I do is usually I kind of keep my head down and I focus on what I've got. I can't think of anything that I think like, oh, I wish I'd, gotten that. I'm so grateful for what I do have, what I have gotten. Yeah.
Okay. There's not many shows that have the longevity that South Park has had. Mm-hmm. Do you think there'll ever be a time where that's it, that the show's run its course, that it no longer has things to say, or do you think it's going to be something that is just going to be with us indefinitely?
I think there will always be something to say. I think that if it ever were to stop, it would be because Matt and Trey decided they were done and tired and wanted to do something else or focus on, you know, just other things. But as long as they still want to do it, you know, the world is crazy. There's going to be plenty to talk about, you know. So yeah, it will be their choice, you know. If they're done, they're done. But until they're done, we're going. You know, we got more to say.
Fantastic news.
Good.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think you're done for tonight.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.